Hey guys, we're dialing in some delays. Yeah, I was just going to quickly talk through maybe how I might approach a simple delay kind of setup that's worked for me. I've used this for a long time, and yeah, that's just setting up your delays so that you've got a little bit of mod delay. As guitar players, we often lean towards or love those delays that have a little bit of modulation in them. So that means the repeats, when you play it, all the repeats have this like kind of wave to them. And different from like, say, your guitar. So like your guitar wouldn't have it in it. Right? If you were to add the waves to the guitar, that would be something like a vibrato pedal. Right? We all love that. I always love that sound. It's such a great sound. But different from that, today we're talking about the modulation that happens within the delay. So, meaning you would have a delay, your signal would be kind of unprocessed like that, but your repeats would get processed. So, I'll give you an example of what that might sound like. I'll turn up the depth. Make it really extreme. You can hear how that starts to sound almost like out of tune. So I was just going to show you how I dial in the mod on a delay, because this is something I'm constantly having to do. So right now we're hearing the Strymon timeline pedal. It's just a pedal I'm really familiar with. It's a pedal that potentially many of you would be familiar with. It's just been around for a long time, and it's a pedal I know really well, so I go to it a lot because I know how to quickly dial it in. So what I do to dial in the delay is I start by cranking the depth, meaning how intense the modulation is. I crank that way up so that I can hear what the mod's doing. So for example, I'll give you what it's doing here. We're kind of on some extreme delay settings so you can hear it, but like you can hear what that So then after I've got my depth way up, I'll mess with the speed. So like I might not want it that quick. So it just kind of depends on what you're going for. I'll show you, I think kind of what my ear always lands towards a little quicker mod than that. Probably somewhere in there. And then I would start backing off the depth to where it starts to have a less pronounced mod. See if you can. All right, you see how that's less pronounced? You still have it in there, but it's just not so pronounced, because sometimes it can make you sound out of tune. We love that mod sound, but sometimes it's just, I'm just constantly playing with like how much of that to use. And there's times that I don't use any. Sometimes I just want like a straight digital delay with no mod in it, because when you have a lot of repeats and a lot of notes happening and you get all that in there, it can kind of become like a chorusing effect, and you get kind of a chorus sound, which is cool, but not, maybe you don't always want it. So yeah, so I'll just kind of show you how, so that would be a good example of like how I might set that. All right, so you can kind of hear what that's doing. I can turn it up again for the depth so you can hear the... That's too much. Here's none at all. This is no mod. And then this is where it would start to maybe feel it. So then you've got this nice movement within your delays that you can move. All right, and then the next thing to talk about would maybe be getting the repeats filtered out a little bit. So that would be with this timeline. Oh yeah, we're on the digital setting on the timeline. It's just one that I go to a lot because I know it so well, and it just speaks in the mix. That's with the filter all the way up. So that's as bright as it'll get. And then you can start dialing the filter back, which is a good trick. You can hear how the delays are darker there. And then this is all the way bright. So sometimes I like to darken them up. Right now I'm at about maybe 10 or 11 on the dial. And that sometimes... if you're just looking for like a digital delay sound. Quick funny story on that delay. We were in the studio one time and we were setting up and one of the guys we were working with, the producer, walks over and he's awesome, great guy. He was like, "Oh man, that's cool. I love this Memory Man." I had a Memory Man on my board, and he was just talking about how much he loves Memory Man pedals, and so do I. But when we went to track the song, like an hour later or something, I've got my studio cans on, and he's through the glass in the control room, and we were starting to play, and I had like kind of a mod delay dialed up on the timeline because I wanted it set to a specific BPM, and I actually liked the way it sounded right then, and it kind of had that Memory Man thing. And he came in on the talkback mic, so we could all hear it in our ears. He was like, "Hey Daniel," he's like, "Is that Memory Man pedal?" And we were in the middle of like about to do another take, and I didn't have time to like go bother with explaining like, well, actually it's the timeline, and so I just with my headphones on, I just kind of went like, and then we just kept going. So it was one of those kind of funny stories of like, the timeline, can do a great job. It was on the digital setting even. It wasn't even in the analog, like bucket brigade setting. It was just a digital delay with some mod. But yeah, quickly looking over at the Memory Man, which is like the ultimate kind of, the original analog with mod that we all love. And we can all thank the Edge for inspiring us all with this mod delay. But I'll show you kind of how I dialed that one in as well. So this would be the Memory Man pedal. I'll do the same thing. I've done this a million times live or in sound check, where I'll reach down and I'll listen to the depth. I'll crank it up. And once I get my speed I like, I'll start backing down the depth. That's even still pretty chorusy, so I might back it down even more. Sometimes I just barely have it on. Another reason I might not use as much is because I like a lot of repeats on this pedal live. And what's great about that is if you don't use a whole lot of depth, you can get a lot of repeats. So you can kind of hear what that Memory Man's doing. There's so many good pedals out there that do this mod delay sound. I just wanted to show you kind of two examples of how I would use my two kind of main pedals that I have on the board, or have had on the board for a long time, and how I would set up the modulation and the delay. The repeats on the Memory Man don't have an EQ in them, so I didn't bother talking through that because you can't filter anything out. Although I think you could put an EQ pedal in the feedback loop or the repeats loop. I don't know. But yeah, just some thoughts there with the couple delays. And thanks for tuning in. Please hit me up below with any questions, or if you want like an extended version of this, or some more thoughts on pedals or delays, or how you might dial that stuff in. I love talking through that stuff. All right, thanks for watching.